How are you and how's everybody doing? Today our lesson is going to be literacy and it's on page 76 of your student book, of your literacy book, okay? So today's lesson is one of the figures of speech. It's pretty easy. It's something that we call euphemisms, which is basically you're trying to say something, but you're trying to make it sound nice, something that's not generally nice or accepted or wanted. You want to say it in a nicer way. So let's get to reading. It says euphemisms, and specifically before I start, this lesson is in the advertising part of the book. Why? Because when we're advertising, we're trying to say things in the nicest way possible to attract the buyer. Okay? So one of the skills of writing advertisements is to make something which is not very interesting or perhaps even unpleasant appear attractive and exciting so that potential customers want to purchase it. In order to do this, advertising copywriters often take some liberties with language. For example, think of the range of products known generally as deodorants. The purpose of a deodorant is to make a person smell attractive and, quite possibly, to hide more unpleasant smells such as dried sweat and so on. However, the advertising team that has to promote the first deodorant, the advertising team that had to promote the first deodorants to the general public had a problem. A direct address to people saying, "You smell, but use our product and you'll smell more pleasant," might well offend rather than appeal, as most people do not like to be told that they smell. The problem lies in the word smell, which has unpleasant connotations. Remember the word connotation when we explained it in class? We said it's the feeling or the sense or the vibe that you get with the word. Like if I say childish and youthful, they have the same meaning, but they give a different impression. If you say somebody is childish, it gives a bad impression, but if you say that somebody is youthful, it's very positive, okay? So, the advertisers searched for a word that meant something similar to smell, but at the time had more positive associations. They came up with the word odor. It was apparently far less offensive to refer to people as having body odor than to say that their bodies had a smell. So the term deodorant, so basically to deodor your body, was formed. Disguising an unpleasant or offensive detail by substituting a more agreeable term is known as a euphemism. We often use euphemisms in everyday speech. Think, for example, of the terms we commonly use for dying or for death itself, such as pass away or breathe one's last or eternal rest. Similarly, clothing manufacturers, among others, will refer to their customers as having fuller figures or as being amply built, rather than saying outright that their clothes are designed for people who are fat. Euphemisms are used to describe people who do certain unpleasant jobs, such as rat catchers, for example, which are known as rodent operatives. You might also like to think of the way euphemisms are used in schools. If teachers describe a group of students as challenging, it is likely that they really mean that these students are very badly behaved. Euphemisms are part of everyday English expression. It is important that you are aware of their meanings, as this will help you to speak and write effective idiomatic English. All right, I hope everything is pretty clear, what a euphemism is, what it's used for, how it's created, etc., etc. So this part is the exercise. We've already done the first one, and I'm going to explain it right now. I put them in sentences, for example, so it's easier to understand. And then the other part is your homework. We're going to explain number 1 now, and number 2, it says teachers sometimes use euphemisms when writing reports on students, especially one whose behavior isn't at all what it should be. In the following report, the euphemistic phrases are in italics. Read through and then write your own version. So what your homework is that you take the words in italics, you put them on a table, they're euphemisms, and you explain what they mean. So it starts on page 77 and finishes on page 78. Okay, so let's explain. Number 1, we have armed intervention, between jobs, broaden the beam, correctional facility, economical with the truth, educationally challenged, and reduced circumstances, negative patient outcome, powder one's nose, and last but not least, smallest room in the house. Okay. Communist parties were prepared for an armed intervention as troops were ready to step into action. What does that mean? It means to go to war. To get into an armed intervention means to go to war. John has been between jobs for quite a while now, and I hope he finally finds a job that suits him. To be between jobs is to be unemployed. To find what he's saying, I find what he's saying a bit hard to believe, and I feel that he's being a little economical with the truth. What does that mean? That means he unfortunately is lying. He's being economical with the truth. That means he is lying. Excuse me, I'll just go powder my nose. I won't be long, the lady excused herself. To go powder your nose is to go use the bathroom. Okay? Martin is slightly educationally challenged and needs to make extra effort to maintain his level. It means he has a learning disability or a learning difficulty. For example, that's being challenged educationally. Okay? Now, let's get to the other part. Sorry. I've grown too broad in the beams to wear these trainers anymore. I need to lose some weight. Too broad in the beams, it means to gain weight, to become slightly overweight, to become too fat, etc., etc. Okay? The young thief has been taken to a correctional facility and aims to rectify his behavior. To rectify his behavior means to improve his behavior. So a correctional facility is jail or prison or any place basically where it corrects your behavior. I'll be right back. I just have to visit the smallest room in the house. Nature calls, said Jack. So actually we have two euphemisms here. To visit the smallest room in the house is to go to the bathroom. And when you say nature calls, it also means I have to go use the bathroom. Okay? Many reports are filed weekly on the number of negative patient outcomes who suffered from cancer. Negative patient outcomes are the deaths of patients. And the last sentence we have is, after losing his job, Calvin has been living in reduced circumstances. It means he's financially struggling or he's been having financial problems. Okay? That is it for euphemisms. Very nice and easy. If anybody has a question, you can ask me immediately, and you know what to do. You know what your work is. And that is it for today's lesson. Thank you very much, Yuri.